Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. It's a feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
And here we go, Rider Nation. We are back for Piffles Podcast Live, your live post-game show. That game was nervous for me, but one of our co-hosts here is going to disagree with us. We're here to talk a little bit of Rider football. 33-27 win over the BC Lions to move the Riders to 5-1. Right off the bat, Jeff, I'm going to ask you, and we're joined, by the way, I should mention, by replacement Alex, normally replacement Steve, Rider legend and Grey Cup champion Jeff Fairholm. Jeff, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight.
Oh, happy to be here, guys. And I got a big smile on my face. I'm a very happy guy tonight.
Hey, anytime you can get that win over a season or division rival and win the season series 6 games in, you can't argue with that. But you popped in here and your first words were, Steve, you looked nervous. Were you not at the end of that game?
No, not at all. I mean, they were playing prevent defense. I mean, we're soft at the best of times, but at the end of a game, I mean, they're just letting them catch the ball and not get anybody hurt. And of course, it comes down to an onside kick. I get it, but the chances of getting that's pretty thin, especially when they don't have Lothar on their team. So it's good.
I was going to say the chances of getting it go up dramatically if you have the Riders number 12. Greg?
Oh, but like I said, Jeff, or we said, prevent defenses prevent teams from winning. I remember very vividly a few years ago, the Riders were up by 11 with 3 minutes left. And next thing you know, it's a BC win. And everyone's just standing around going, what the hell happened? Like, I don't like the fact that was only a 6-point game, especially because they went for that 2-point just in case they got that onside. I'm like, no, I don't like that. That's a good way to lose.
Hey, I didn't say I was a fan of it either. I think you should keep playing the same defense that's gotten you to that point all game. But coaches coach, and they tend to outcoach themselves sometimes. But hey, it's a win. Let's take it and run.
I'm thinking maybe some coaches had Nathan Rourke in fantasy and wanted a few extra points to close that game out. Now,
I don't know what was the line on this game anyway.
1
Riders,
1.5?
Riders by 1. Yeah. And we should mention the coin was finally wrong, and it picked the right game to be wrong.
Yeah,
after 5 straight victories.
9 games in a row.
5.
It was only 5.
It's only 2 weeks. I was 0-10. The coin was 5-0, including a handful of upset wins. So the streak was bound to end, and if it had to end, I'm glad it did on a Rider victory. Nobody was a little more nervous than me at the end there. Although a touchdown by BC and a 1-point win, I believe would have still won it for me. Oh yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
Anyways, big story from that first half of that game was automatic reviews. Everybody was going off about the automatic review on Nathan Rourke that turned a play into a roughing the passer. And it was absolutely roughing the passer. There's no argument there. And yet multiple times we see Trevor Harris getting hit and there was nothing. There was no automatic review. There was no challenge. There was nothing, just moved on with the game. And I believe one of those drives ended in a field goal, the other in a touchdown. So it worked out. But what are your thoughts, guys, on these automatic reviews and when they're deciding to pipe in?
I'm not a fan of it.
Sense. Yeah, I just wanted to make sense. That's all. I just wanted to make sense.
Yeah, if you're going to do it all the time. And if you're only going to do it part-time, don't do it at all. It's got to be consistent. And I think that's what you mean by making sense, is keep it consistent. And right now, it seems like the control center pops in whenever they feel like it. And it's just weird to me. It just doesn't make sense. And when it goes against us, it makes even less sense. So,
well, I think the review center's been better this year. I just wish there's a little more transparency with it. Like, of all the things you want to say about the XFL, USFL, combination UFL now, at least you get some like feedback on why they're calling what. Even on the regular reviews, there's still people going, what are they thinking? What are they looking at? Like, don't get me wrong, some of them are very obvious of what they're looking at, but at the same time, it's like make it make sense. That's all I want. Just make it make sense. Where's the transparency on it?
Well, communication's key, right? And I think you guys were talking on the podcast last week about the smoked out game and nobody saying anything while everyone's sitting in their seats for 3 hours. I mean, communication's king. And if you're not communicating, that's when people complain. I mean, if you communicate, whether it's right or wrong, people will shut up and it'll become a non-issue in no time.
When I look back to the Olympics and rugby sevens, and it was the same as the XFL, where they were announcing and discussing those calls on the field with the replay centers. And as somebody who knows absolutely nothing about rugby sevens or rugby in general, I felt like I understood the rules just based on those conversations they were having. The CFL needs to bring that in. And I think it would really help fans kind of understand why these calls are made and when they choose to overturn these calls.
At the end of the day, it didn't affect the game too much. So, but I agree, it can affect the game, and that's where it gets a little seedy is when it does affect the game positively or negatively, depending on which team you're cheering for. And it's unfortunate that something like that could affect the game, and I just don't think it's right. And I think the consistency and communication, I totally believe and agree with you guys for sure.
And one thing that absolutely did affect the game was Trevor Harris, 23 of 30, 395 yards. But to me, the best part of his game was the fact that he was spreading the ball around. 6 different
100%.
receivers, all 3 of them caught at least 3 passes. And outside of that one spinning throw into double coverage that is very not Trevor Harris-like, this was a masterful performance from Trevor Harris.
Yeah, and you got to give props to the offensive line because they gave him a lot of time, or as much time as he needed. He was hit quite a bit in this game, but he had enough time. They blitzed him, and there was a throw to, I want to say it was Robustelli, when it was a blitz and Trevor he got hit hard in the chest on that, and he just threw it up to his receiver and trusted him. It was down the right sideline. It was either Robustelli or Duncan Busby, I can't recall, but it was, that was a trust in your receiver throw and taking a hit, and that's the kind of stuff I haven't seen from Trevor this year a lot of, but he's really started to trust his receivers. And like you said, spreading it around, it's amazing. Dante Myers had the big game of 132 yards, but everybody had the catches and some yards, and that's what really makes an offense good, when you just can't cover everybody.
Well, it makes an offense good, but it makes my fantasy team terrible because I never know who to take. It's Robustelli last week. It's Dante Myers. Next week, it's probably going to be MLS. So I don't know who to pick anymore. Keyshawn Johnson's been pretty quiet lately, even though he got 77 very quiet yards tonight. It's ridiculous how good this receiving core is, and we're still waiting for Sean Bain Jr. and KSB to come back. Like, can one of these guys play running back? Because we might need another one.
Yeah, we might, and it's going to be interesting. I think KSB is going to have to get into the lineup, but Sean Bain Jr. is going to have a hard time cracking the lineup with the way these guys are playing. He may have to have stay on the injured list a little bit longer because there's no spot for him right now. So it's a good problem to have, but you got to keep him in the locker room somehow.
And absolutely, how do you take any of these guys off? A Dante Myers, Keyshawn Johnson, Joe Robustelli. All of them have their advantages on this offense. Robustelli seems to be that big play guy that gets that, the fans into it. Keyshawn Johnson's your, second and guy. They all have these roles that I just don't see where Sean Bain Jr. fits. And could you imagine that at the beginning of the year as something that we would question, that do you bring Sean Bain Jr. back?
Yeah, he's an American too, so he's going to have a hard time getting back on the roster, right? So, now that we're playing a left tackle who's an American, I think, again, you guys said on the podcast last week that, playing 3 Canadian O-linemen would be a great advantage, but we don't have that advantage right now. So, yeah, I don't know where you put him in, and that's the great thing about the CFL, right? Is you've got to play with that ratio, And I saw a bunch of Twitter fights this past week, which I love, by the way. I'm glad I'm not involved in them, but I like seeing them, and it's like watching a car wreck. But it's kind of fun because it's just this league is just different. You can't compare it to anything else, and I just love that aspect of it.
Lord hates a coward, Jeff. Just get right in. All you have to do is get right in.
I've had my share of fights. I don't need that.
Just do what I do. Stay outside the fights and catch strays anyways. I get attacked whether
just
I
watch
fight or
what
not.
I do and just hang out. You'll get hit eventually.
Exactly.
Good stat here from Tim Capper for our buddies from the Alouettes flight deck. 62% on second down by the Riders. Like they were dealing tonight.
And he
Just
added not a
ridiculous.
single 2 and out as well.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
like
great.
just well, they didn't punt until the fourth quarter. Like it was ridiculous how well this offense was moving this week.
We didn't
And it
have
never-
that great. We didn't have that great a running game. You know, it was okay. You know, we had a first run by Ouellette that ran up whatever 29 yards, but after that, it was
was
pretty
pretty flat.
stagnant. You know, and then until the end. But Tommy Stevens, he's put him in and run the ball. But you know, I mean, we added up some rushing yards, but it didn't really help the offense that much. A lot of those second down conversions were 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8. So you know, kudos to this passing attack.
And you mentioned Tommy Stevens running the ball. He might be the next guy up at running back after what we saw with Kadeem Carey. That was an absolutely horrific injury. I want to give TSN a shout out
Heisman.
on not showing that replay over and over again. We see that too often in other leagues, and they seem to shy away from those horrific injuries. Nobody wants to see that. You wish the best for Kadeem Carey, but what do the Riders do moving forwards at running back with
I don't
Kadeem
know.
Carey out?
They're going to have to look at bringing someone in. I don't know who else you can put back there. I mean, you can't give every carry to Ouellette. We're just going to wear him out. So we need to have somebody. I don't know how bad Bertrand Houdon is, but you know, we're going to have to bring someone in who's out there or trade for somebody because we need some help.
I can't. Is Walter Fletcher available? That's a good question, Gove. Very good question. What's he up to? Like,
Probably is actually.
yeah, I like Kevin Brown just recently signed in BC, if I remember correctly.
He did. He would have
So,
been the obvious call.
Yeah, I think Fletcher is probably the next man guy out.
Yeah, there's going to be somebody's going to get picked up off the practice roster.
Here, Alex forgot to record it and saw a spoiler. Safe to say they let their foot off the gate. See, this is why you stick around, Alex.
You know, I don't know that the Riders did take their foot off the gas. They did seem to, up until that last drive, they were applying constant pressure. And you saw the interception. I thought it was the one that sealed it, the interception by Marcus Sales. It did feel like the Riders were trying to keep their foot down this game and just kind of took a step back when the game was over, because it was effectively over when BC scored their last touchdown, barring, you know, what do you call it? A miracle of sorts. That game was not coming BC's way. But it is concerning that they seem to let teams into this, because this game should never have been as close as it was. The Riders felt like they were dominant for most of that game. And barring a few field goals that could have maybe been sixes, this could have been over at halftime.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good time to take your starter out, but if you're going to take Harris out of the game at that point, we have a backup quarterback, right? His name is Jake Mayer. Why put Tommy Stevens in and run the ball? Which it's okay, you want to run the ball, but you could have easily handed it off to Ouellette as well. You know, we should have had our backup quarterback in perhaps and try to get a couple first downs and put the game away. To me, they're taking it a little easy. Maybe that's a learning progress from the head coach, but you know, maybe they took him out a bit early. Maybe another series would have been good for him and get over 400 yards.
It would have got him his 5 yards that he needed. Yeah.
Exactly. But you know, I think it's a little early and then playing that prevent defense. So I think we need to learn how to win a little bit better.
But I think though, like even going into half, like I tweeted out, this game feels way closer than it should be. Like at the same time, the Riders were controlling it, but the score was still tight. So as typical Rider football is, they have trouble just putting their foot through the throat of their opponent. Like they just can't seem to run the score up on anyone unless it's like the Banjo Bowl in what 2008. Like that's like I can't remember anything where I'm like, okay, this game is safe ever.
Well, it's the CFL too, right? I mean, it's the way it is. But you know, if you look at a couple of plays during that game, the defensive line had so many. Jeff has been working out. Look out! It's because they're way forward. the defensive line was getting such great pressure, and if they had just made a couple of tackles on Rourke scrambling, that game was over at halftime. I
Yep.
mean, there's no way that one touchdown should have happened. We should have had that. We should have had. I think
Yep.
it was Sanders who missed a tackle in the backfield. I mean, he was wrapped up. We've got to do better of just wrapping that up. And I've said many times that our defense depends and it runs through our defensive line, which did a great job today. They just need to finish the tackles. And if they had, Rourke was under pressure all day. And if they had made those tackles, the game was over at halftime.
And we mentioned it on the show. The biggest addition the Riders made on that defensive line was bringing Caleb Sanders back. This team is infinitely better with him, and we saw pressure from him and that defensive line all game. Yes, they only had the one sack deep in BC's end, but they were in Rourke's face constantly throughout that game. He didn't have the time that we've seen the last couple of weeks from our opposing quarterbacks.
So
But-
look at the rush yards by Butler.
That's
too.
what I was about to
Yeah.
say. Like
Yeah.
Sanders' impact is on the rush game more than it is probably
Yeah.
on the passing game. When Sanders was in the last two games before he went out, under 100 yards, like 60 yards, I think was the tops. 2 games he was out, over 100 both games. This
Mhm.
game between Butler and Rourke, 43 yards. Like
Oh.
Caleb Sanders needs to stay in this lineup forever.
If I remember their rushing defense, they were giving up about 46 yards a game while Caleb Sanders was on the roster, and well over 100 without him. So that says everything. There's no question.
Absolutely. It's you guys said it in your podcast last week, I think, as well. And it's, it's another sign. It's another sign of how good or how much he brings. Now, maybe he's plugging up a hole, but maybe he's allowing other people to do their thing as well and not cover. But anyway, the defensive line, this whole defense runs through our defensive line, and they had a great game today, as did, and here's a little bit of a segue. We had another defensive standout today, and AJ Allen had an outstanding game. He was all over the field, so that was great.
Sorry, his name was in hieroglyphics, so I didn't understand it. That's a shot at Alex because Alex forgot him in the at the end of the league.
With the all-star nominations, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's like, "Was my name in
Yeah.
hieroglyphics?" It's good to see AJ Allen pays attention to what we say. Apparently,
Apparently
he had a
this is-
monster, absolute monster game, and it looked a little questionable with that dropped interception to start the game. That was a pick six in the making. And then Tavon Campbell with the pick six that got overturned by a twitch.
Well,
that was the weakest offside call I've seen in forever. Are you kidding me?
It's still offside, but
Yeah.
he was offside. But these are the things that you go into a win and you watch the film and you identify and you critique. And these are the things that they're going to critique this week. Last week, that's a game you want to just throw out the film and you don't want to watch it, right? And it's just, there's so much to look at. There's so much to go through. At least this game, they're focusing on a few things that, hey guys, if we fix this, we're a better team. And it's that offside, it's the dropped interception, it's the not tackling the quarterback in the backfield. I mean, these are all very, very simple things to fix. And it showed me today that we're a good team. I was concerned. I didn't know what kind of team we had. You look at the wins over this year, and you got to look at backup quarterbacks we've been playing against. You got to look at Hamilton that wasn't really hitting their stride yet. We're playing Toronto, who isn't very good. Ottawa isn't very good. And then we lose to Calgary. What kind of team are we? I didn't know until tonight. I think I know what kind of team we are now.
I don't think there's any question at this point what kind of team we are. We are in that upper echelon of teams that should be competing for the Grey Cup come November. You've got your Calgary, your Montreal when they're on. We won't get into that game too much tonight, but that had they lost, they might have dropped down to that second tier too. But then you got that middle group of teams. But the Riders showed today they belong up near the top, and you just scrub that Calgary game from memory and never talk about it again.
Well, Ferland, I
can't.
think I saw Ferland in an interview with Davis or something. I saw an interview. He said that the O-line was mad. And that's good. That's, you take that from that game. You don't even have to watch the film. They should have been mad because they didn't play very well for the first time several games, and they came out and played a good game. And that's, and the defensive line was like, I keep harping on it. They were into it, and that's what you need. You get mad and you realize you're not that team, and you go out and show everybody that you can play the game, and they did.
And don't get me wrong, like follow up with the Ryder guy's comment here is, yeah, there's still room for improvement. Like they still left some plays out there. They still need to clean up some of those penalties because, yeah, like Tevon Campbell should have another pick six because of that twitch. There was that really weird procedure call that, and they showed it from the reverse angle. I'm like, I don't know, but okay, sure, maybe we jumped a little bit early. But yeah, they still have things they need to clean up. But this team is really good when they are locked in and focused. And last week showed what happens when they're not focused. So, like, they didn't expect to play on Saturday, and you can call that what it is. And they're pros, and they should be ready to play whenever, I guess. But you could tell they were not as prepared as Calgary was. This game showed if they're prepared, they can be better. They still have some stuff they need to clean up.
It further shows me it's another example that Corey Mace knows what he's doing. He knows how to get a rise out of his team after a bad loss. I think he came out in pads for the first practice this past week, and probably beat him up a little bit and sent a message. And that's not easy to do. A team can turn on you. But he's got the ear of the locker room, and I think he's doing a great job. And he's got this team doing what he needs them to do, not what he wants them to do, what he needs them to do. And they believe in him. And as long as that's happening, you're going to have another loss or two or three. I get it, but you got to be able to come back and not have two in a row.
Now, you mentioned that there is that need for improvement. One place that I feel like a lot of Rider fans are looking for maybe an improvement would be out of the safety position. And we're going to go right back to Rider guy. He brought it up. Is Nelson Locombo the guy back there? We saw the misjudged jump on the Berryhill touchdown that did breathe life back into the BC Lions, but he's not the guy that you're scared of. He's not the guy that's going to be laying a hit if you're crossing over the middle. And I don't know that he's as good a cover guy as you need to overlook that weakness. Is there a better option there, or are we going Nelson Locombo going forwards?
Well, there was a point in the game, and you got to remember how old I am, guys. But there was a point in the game where I think it was McKinnon who caught the ball over the middle, and Locombo could have killed him. Now that would probably been illegal hit or something crazy like that. But he could have and probably should have killed him. And you just don't come into my zone anymore. That bothers me that he didn't take that hit. There's another aspect of playing free safety that people seem to forget. He's the quarterback back there.
Yep.
And he's calling coverages. He's calling coverages, adjusting to whatever lineup the opponent's giving them. So you don't know how much he's bringing to the game that way, because I didn't see many mistakes. I mean, that match coverage is tough to play, and I didn't see many mistakes today, if any. Where BC did, that first touchdown of ours was a match coverage bust, and that's one thing I'll give him credit for. Like, he seems to be getting players in the right place, and that, hey, you look at Suter. Suter wasn't exactly the biggest hitter in the world either, but he had everyone in the right place all the time. And I think that's what really brought his value as a safety.
I think it's a generational thing, because when we grew up, we had T. Brack, we had Craig Butler, we had guys that if you walked into the wrong zone and the ball was coming your way, your head was coming off.
Yeah.
And Locombo's not that guy, and we've said that from the beginning. Like, we like Dalkey's physicality. We don't like Dalkey's
over the top
extracurriculars. Yeah,
brain fart,
like
brain farts.
Yeah, he's a better linebacker, and I'm glad they put him there. And he's very good on special teams.
Yeah,
Locombo is a better cover guy. I think he would be better off out on the corner. I think that's probably his bread and butter. But they like him out on that in that safety, and it's not killing us yet, but it could.
Well, he's not going to beat out Campbell. Campbell's playing well out there, and and we need a Canadian at safety, and we've got an advantage having a Canadian at corner. And I think Ford is going to be the guy of the future. I don't know if it's this year, next year, or the year. I don't know if it's this year, next year, or the year after. But he's the future, and until then, I'm okay with Locombo. I would like to see him get more physical, but he didn't take a penalty either. So.
jumping away from the defense, the one spot that we have to give a shout out because it has been a bit of a roller coaster season for him. Brett Lothar today, 4 for 4, made all 3 converts, was money as a kicker. Now he had a couple of obvious gimmies at that 15, 20-yard range. But is this the kind of game that you need to see from Brett Lothar to see that turn back into the kicker that we know?
Yeah, I think he's our kicker. I mean, he had the same issue last year, right, where he missed a few early on, and even in preseason, and we had to bring someone in to chase him and that kind of stuff. And I don't like seeing it, but I also don't feel like he's going to miss much when we need him. And I think he's coming into form. Honestly, I didn't even notice him today, which is good. Every time we lined up for a field goal, I kind of took away or looked away and had a bite of my chili. So, I always feel like he's going to make it. And, I think he's our guy, and I think he's back in form. I think it takes a while with a new holder. And I think they're back in form. I have no issues with him.
Looking at the rest of that game, I'm not sure there's much else that we can go over. Greg, do you got anything else to add?
The most important thing, and I want to bring Tim to bring this up, the Riders have added the provincial flag onto the away jerseys. I know I'm the logo snob that was probably the only one that noticed it. I know Steve didn't notice it. It was like, I like they added the jersey. He's like, oh, I didn't even notice that. It was the first thing I noticed. So I don't know if that's.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
The Riders added the Saskatchewan flag opposite of the Canadian flag.
Okay.
So I don't. BC didn't have it. Montreal had it on their away jersey. So I don't know if that's going to be an away jersey thing going forward, or if it's just the Riders and the Alouettes. But yes, Tim, I definitely noticed it.
Greg will always notice those things. You can guarantee that. We were talking about it in the last 3 minutes, and I'm sitting here watching the game on a projector screen. That flag would have been this big, and I never saw it. I will never see those things. That is not my my area of expertise.
Me neither. I notice something when something stands out as the wrong thing, not when it's the right thing, unfortunately. So my head goes that way.
Another point by a Rider guy. Did Mace screw up by not challenging the pass interference in the end zone? I would say absolutely. The challenge at the end of the game was kind of one of those throwaway challenges with 3.5 minutes
burn
left.
the timeout. Burn the timeout
Exactly,
before the
right.
Yeah.
I don't think he expected that challenge to go through, but to me it looked like Dell Duncan Busby was absolutely turned around on that play. Should have been PI, but if you watch him, he wasn't getting up angry either. I'd rather them keep it and find a better spot.
I mean, you mentioned, I can tell you from a receiver's point of view that, when I played, and I have a feeling he's the same way because he wears a good number. I never realized, I never knew if somebody interfered with me or not. I was so focused on the ball.
Yeah.
Even when I caught that touchdown pass in the Grey Cup in '89, I was interfered with. I had no idea. I didn't even feel the guy on me. So, you just get so focused on the ball. So I wouldn't go too hard from what the receiver's thinking, but yeah, I mean, it looked like he got pulled around a little bit. His head went down and he got pushed in the back. So, again, it's one of those plays. Let him play, and I'm sure BC is bitching about a few of their calls too.
We're sitting here talking about a coach who is now challenged. I believe it was 4 plays the entire season. This is not a guy that throws his challenge flag very often, and the one today was definitely not a one I think he expected to win. So it's a guy that doesn't really like to use those challenges, as opposed to a guy like Dave Dickinson, who's throwing out his challenge flag, early in the first quarter, more games than not. So it's a different way of looking at it and when you decide to use that, but that definitely seemed like a spot.
Well, the way these coaches use their challenge flags always surprises me. Like, apparently Buck Pierce he's a first-year head coach, hasn't won one all year, has not won a single challenge all year yet. It's like, you think you'd have guys in your ears like, yeah, call that. And for some reason, they're still don't get it right.
Well, and the way
Justin McInnis got guys in his ears.
The way McInnis got up today and was shouting at everybody and making all those hand gestures, he was 100% sure that he was interfered with. And I looked at that review or that replay 100 times and questioned what he was on about. So sometimes you got to also remember you can't trust your receivers either. They're always going to blame somebody else if the ball hits the turf.
I also
Absolutely.
thought it was a flag if they called for a flag. Whatever happened to that rule?
It's only if you make the flag.
He
motion.
did. He
If
definitely
he did, it should have
did.
been, but
He definitely did.
they should have made
He
an
did it,
automatic
and then he
review
did
on
the
that
thing
motion.
across the chest, but he definitely did the.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one called in a while. I feel like they've kind of eliminated that for the most part because you don't see guys doing it like they used to after every other play because it was a flag for the last few years. So maybe that's
Well,
they
what they
let
need
that
to
one
do
go
is-
because he did it.
They need to redefine the motion of the flag. You just need to call this instead.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, it's
We
just
know
it's the
we
same.
know what it means.
It's the same thing, you know.
we all know what they're doing. That's
Yeah.
even funnier. Like we all know.
Or do what they do in Major League Baseball now. If you see a guy make that head tapping moment, they get ejected. Start kicking guys out. If you question the
Exactly.
refs, send him to the
That's right.
showers. Well, look at it, guys. I think we might want to leave the
We did
rest
30
for,
minutes. Yeah. We did.
we might want to leave the rest for the show this week. Jeff, anything you want to add before we jump off tonight?
Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's the first time I've been on live with you guys. It's always fun, and I love the Riders. I love what they're doing. I think they're on the right page. They're on the right path. It's going to be a tough West. Winnipeg's decent. Calgary's better than I thought they'd be. I knew they'd be good with
Better
it,
than
with it-
everyone thought. Like,
Well, I
just
knew they'd be better on
ridiculous.
offense, but I don't know where their defense came from. But they're doing really well, and BC is going to win some games, and it's going to be it's a good league. It's a great season. I hope that more people jump on the bandwagon, and hey, I'll keep listening to you guys. And whenever you need a replacement, you give me a call.
Replacement Alex is so much better than real Alex. So
We know
We'll
that's
see.
true when it's replacement Steve. That's for sure. I know my place.
better
in the world.
arms anyway. Better arms by far.
Greg, anything you want to touch on before we jump off?
No, I look forward to breaking this one down on Tuesday. I think it's going to be a fun show.
It's always so much more fun talking about a Rider win. Riders again win 33-27, move to 5-1 and join Calgary at the top of the West. We will be back on Tuesday to talk about this one in, like you said, much more depth. Until then, should we leave you with a little ghost behind your mind?
Sure, we should. Later, guys.
The ghost behind your mind are waiting for you. I won't pretend to be blind like I have for so long. The ghost behind your mind are waiting for you.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.